Alright, enough talking about weird people. Malzahar store revealed the next Void champion. This is probably before, what was her name? Keswath? No. Whatever her name is. The one who imprisoned Mabe Kaisa. Madaude.
Well, originally today I was supposed to be doing the review of the Ruined King game. But it is December and real life is difficult. So that will come later. Which means that instead...
Is the Ruined King game out?
Story of Malzahar.
I think there's a story, Ruined King. Is it out though? Oh, it was. Ruined King Leela story. Rating 9 out of 10. $41! What's the gameplay like at all? You can see gameplay though? Is it a turn-based fucking bullshit? Is this a fucking online, like a fucking mobile game? Okay, whatever.
Because
not my thing.
The previous story with Sejuani and Volibear, there is the small chance that this one too may be teasing what will happen in the next preseason cinematic. Yes, Malzahar technically could be there. However, it is more likely that in the story we are going to cover today, Riot may be teasing the next confirmed Voidy champion.
So here's why I hope that the next cinematic that has to do with this story, because when the Squid Lady was released, her cinematic showed that she imprisoned Kaisa, right? But here's the thing, where there's a Malzahar, there's a Kassadin coming. So I feel like Kassadin should know, or like should suspect that something is happening and be in the area soon enough, somehow finding his daughter. I'm just...
Now, of course, right now, some people may be freaking out because Malzahar never really got his own story. This is his premiere. So just in case you forgot, Malzahar was a seer from Shurima. He had an ability that is often called Second Sight.
Yep.
Second Sight allowed him to predict future.
Recognition, whatever.
Tell what would happen in a gambling game. Or he was able to tell who would marry whom. But there was a catch. He was never able to see his own future. His own destiny was a mystery. Eventually, he ended up in Ikathia, which by now was already ruined by the Void. And that's where he learned that not only is life pretty horrible, with all the gambling and suffering, but he also learned that the answer to those problems is the Void. He saw that the only way to turn Runeterra in...
I mean, the answer to all suffering is death. In death, there's no more suffering because, you know, but there's also like nothing else. You know, suffering breeds about happiness as well, right? So you can't be happy if there's no contrast to it.
Into a nice place would be to speed up its way into oblivion. That's why Malzahar is such a crazy void-corrupted seer. He essentially wants to destroy everything so that life doesn't suck.
Yeah,
that's it.
Basically.
So now, let's have a look at the new story that really enhanced his character. And because it is not too long, we can read it word for word. So here's the story, Feast of the Prophet. Mir follows a crowd of cultists out of the Prophet's tent city, and down into a low valley at the edge of the desert. He's unsure if this was the right decision. Beyond the outcropping of rock where tonight's ceremony will be held is he's not sure how to describe it other than a hole, descending deep beneath the Shuriman sands, and into an emptiness that is both growing and alive. Throughout the day, these cultists throw livestock into the hole. They throw each other into the hole. Sometimes they throw themselves into the hole. And from what Mir is told, the hole responds by growing steadily larger, so cultists can throw more animals and more people down into it, and it can keep growing. And the awful pattern can repeat itself until the hole is so large that something big falls in. A city, maybe. Like Nashrame, he mutters. Though even if the entire state toppled in, ports and all, it would barely graze the sides. He caught a glimpse of the hole earlier. It's too big to be real, and yet, no one knows this is here, thinks Mir. But he's smart enough to keep this to himself. He cannot risk these people turning on him, although he uses the word people lightly. Some of them have a deep lavender glint behind the eyes that seems to spread over their faces in veiny twisting patterns, and they mutter constantly about Icathia or something called the Void. He cannot go back home. He's not even sure if his home still exists. And he cannot flee anywhere but further south, where the land turns grey and things named after old storybook monsters squirm across the rocks. Mir must keep running. If he stops, Noxus will find him, and because he struck an officer, they will kill him. Have you come to see the Prophet? One man asks him, as the crowds shuffle into an open area similar to a theater stage. His skin shifts sickeningly beneath a tattered cloak. Mir sees some of the man's teeth moving inside his mouth. Yes, Mir replies, knowing the cultists won't let him through without hearing one of their ceremonies. The man laughs. You are new to the nameless city, like many others. Some seek the Prophet, others seek nothing. It is all the same. He motions to his face, which glows faintly in the night air. Do not be worried, my friend. Soon you will understand. The Prophet will show you. The evening stars, black and yawning and somehow closer than before, wink ominously above the crowd's makeshift lanterns. Beyond the light there is the desert. Beyond that is the hole. And on the other side of the hole, freedom. Mir can taste it. Shurima is being swallowed up from three sides. In the north, Noxus spreads along the coast like a cancer, claiming everything from vast city-states to farming settlements of a dozen souls. In the ancient capital, the long-dead, now supposedly living again, Emperor Azir is set to prepare for an inevitable war. And in the southeast, well, this is the southeast.
But isn't the war with Zerath? Isn't that the war he's preparing for? I don't think he's preparing for the war with everyone. Unless, would he go back to the Shuriman roots and try to conquer the world? But I think his main goal is Zerath, really.
These people are eating it. There has to be something beyond the hole, down along the very lifeless coasts, at the southernmost tip of the Icathian Peninsula. A smuggler's port.
What's this?
Maybe a stop-off for fishing ships from Bilgewater? Mir could catch a boat, start over again in the Serpent Isles, and then... Stop thinking, threatens the broken-faced man. Mir looks up and sees a dozen pairs of shattered glowing eyes looking back at him. Your thoughts are loud, be silent. The man points out to the outcropping. Now the pulpit of an emaciated figure. Malzahar has come. The Prophet is covered in scarves and cloaks, crudely marked with the symbols of old Icathia. His feet are bare, his hands seemingly frozen in a rigor mortis grip, as though he were trying to fend off some kind of a monstrous creature. His face is obscured by a long violet wrap, and his head. Mir feels something like a drill being driven into his brain. He had looked for maybe a half a second into the Prophet's face, and seen within his forehead something shifting? No, that can't be right. Malzahar's entire skull was thin, fleshy, webbing, with something horrible inside. A light within a light, pulsating outward, spreading.
Feels like Malzahar is not Malzahar anymore. It's been like fucking, you know those like souls, the Dark Souls, those like bugs or whatever that sit on your head and like take over you. Yeah, maybe that's what happened to Malzahar.
Hungry. My children, says Malzahar. Though his voice is not a voice at all. It's a projection inside of Mir's thoughts. An extension of the Prophet's unlight that is slick, glistening and wrong. Mir has to get out of here, but he can't run. The cultists are packed in too tightly. and he would never make it around the Great Hole before they caught him and tossed him down. Tonight is a night of confession. Now it's too late. Malzahar sees Mir. Mir is not sure how, but amid the crowd of hundreds, the Prophet's gaze rips through him, holding his body in place. Mir cannot even let out a whimper. Ah, newcomer, says Malzahar. Then let this be your awakening. There are flashes within Mir's mind, an enormous shape, looming behind the Prophet and filling the entire night sky. Buildings, or something.
A newcomer, tonight we feast.
Buildings, but inverted and crooked beneath a vast, unnatural ocean. Thousands of voracious creatures swarming in schools, so large they block even the dappled light from the not sun, creating their own current in the not water. And a name that dances across the grooves of his brain like an acrobat. Elusive, but on the edge of realization. Believers, Malzahar continues. I have always told you that the end is certain. The void will come and wash away the world and all its miseries. And with it, each and every one of you. Mir's mind is ripping itself apart. Thoughts snap in and out so quickly, he can barely track what he's experiencing. Wings, spiders the size of wolves, a figure floating beneath Shurima, a confrontation. He sees
Kaisa.
consumed by an impossible
Oh. Yeah, there's Kaisa. Who's running though?
Shurima, a confrontation. He sees Noxus consumed by an impossible wave of creatures. The immortal bastion cracking grotesquely before falling into their mass. Ice breaking, things tumbling outwards and out. He sees Malzahar again, shadowed by a shape too large.
Malzahar just spoiled the MMORPG. It's like this is shit. These are things that's gonna happen. I love how they play with time in MMORPGs, where it's like someone can see the future, but the player character is beyond the vision of. He's beyond the control of fate. He's beyond the control of like visions of time and stuff like that. So it's like even though the only way that what Malzahar sees as the future is gonna come true, like for example the ancient ones waking and breaking the ice and stuff like that, the only way for that to be true is for there to not be the player character.
Why is it so large? Why is she?
She?
But we are all changed by our experiences, are we not? I watched my parents die in Amakra, waste away to illness. Yet, they are not gone. Their memories serve a purpose. And the imprint they left on me made me who I am. And what I am made you. The shape looms larger. It's not physical, no. But Mir's mind holds desperately onto anything it can. Something to anchor himself, save the Prophet's suffocating weight. The void has tasted their memories, and it wants more. The cultists throw their arms upwards, and the stars wink closer than ever before. Mir must hold on. Freedom is just beyond the chasm. He tries to think, but the words drain from his mind. Before them all is Malzahar. There is nothing else. The void has embraced a new form, a new possibility. I once saw the world end, in the absence of light and darkness, the totality of nothing, and that was wrong. So tonight, to you, to all my children I confess, the void has spoken, and now beneath her sea of lavender she wants. You, your memories, your experiences, existence, she wants everything. Mir only begins to run when the ground gives way under his feet. The chasm's sudden expansion swallows them all. The tent city, the cultists, everything, as Malzahar floats above, watching them all pour down into the throbbing, animated nothing. And, the Prophet concludes, she will have it. Some of the cultists freeze midair. Darkly luminous corals burst from their skin before they are sucked into the undulating walls of the hole. More are torn limb from limb by fast-moving schools of strange iridescent fish. Others lose a scream before vanishing completely, as though suddenly erased. Mir's memories, like the stars above, wink out one by one as he falls faster and faster. The Noxian invasion, his hand striking an officer, his family, his friends, his childhood, his dreams. He drifts down beneath the lavender sea, past strange inverted buildings, jutting awkwardly from the light-dappled nothingness beyond the void's hideous living sky. And he catches a glimpse of something massive on the verge of being born. As his memories fade, the shape seems to move, responding to this new source of sustenance, growing stronger as Mir, the cultists, the animals, the tents, as they all fade away, erased utterly from the gentle shores of reality, repurposed into something terrible and new. A man once named Mir closes his eyes, emptied of all things. He touches the bottom of the void, and then he is gone. And that was the story Feast of the Prophet. Now, in the past, we had a couple of stories that predicted champions months before those champions were even revealed. This happened to champions like Yone, being teased in Yasuo's new story months before Spirit Blossom, or more famously, Rel was even named in Samira's story months before Rel was ever revealed. So since in the past, stories did actually reveal champions before their actual reveals, it is extremely likely that this story confirmed the next Void champion.
Especially, well, because I already know that it is, especially because it says like the champion wasn't born yet. What's the name of that new league squid champion? What's her name? Belveth. Okay. The other thing he says here is that Belveth currently hasn't even been born. She's just absorbing the information of humans and stuff like that. And it's like, but Belveth is the devourer, right? What is Belveth's Belveth? What's her full name? Belveth, the Empress of the Void. Oh, she's the Empress? Okay, I thought she was like devourer or like something like that, but like, yeah. All that will ever be Belveth cinematic. Another 200 years champion, or perfectly. Let's see this real quick. Is this the one with the Kaisa? Yeah, it's the one with Kaisa. Yeah. What are you? Let the lavender sea take you. Love how she peels away Kaisa's void appearance and reveals her own twisted appearance, like one disguised herself as a monster but is a human. The other disguised herself as a human but is a monster. So good. Radiates final boss energy. Velvet Swan game Stingray slap. Who is Belveth? Okay. Alright.
Yes, welcome.
200 years, perfectly designed. No, definitely a 200 years champion. Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so that was Malzahar. That's cool. So that's the pre to Belveth. That's cool. The girl who came back. Kind of wanna. Yeah. I'm gonna watch this. On because this is gonna be relevant for this later. Belveth lore, in my opinion, is not too important outside of like the cinematic of Belveth. From what I understand, she can just devour everything and grow stronger. That was pretty much the gist of it. I love her story. I just wish her character model showed up that she's been in the void since she was a kid. She looks too well kept. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for the Malzahar one. And let's go next.